Welcome to my introductory video for Microeconomic Principles Online here at Rutgers University, Camden. My name is Professor Guy Pascal, and I usually like to start this with a little bit of an overview on my background, just to give a little bit of an introduction. I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in economics. I got the bachelor's degree in economics from Rutgers University in Camden in 1991. And I received my master's degree from Rutgers University, New Brunswick in 1994. As a bit of an introduction, let me just go over some items here. Number one, make sure you read the syllabus. The syllabus has a great deal of information. It has the ID number for the course. It also has my office hours. I'm in Armitage Hall, room 332. Right now, I haven't finalized what my office hours are because I share an office with a number of people and we have to coordinate times so we don't overlap with one another. So that'll be posted, and I will be updating the syllabus and posting the finalized syllabus with that on there when that all gets done. The textbook we're using is Principles of Microeconomics from Case, Fair, and Oster, and that's Pearson Publishing, the 11th edition. I would highly recommend that you purchase the e-text in combination with the access to my Econ Lab. Most of the work that is done for the course is going to be done through the My Econ Lab suite of products. So I would highly recommend that you buy them in conjunction. Last time I looked, the e-text and the access code were $105. I thought that was a relatively good price, considering that the hardback some places is retailing for $200. So make sure you do that. I can't force you to buy the e-text, but I can tell you that the e-text is well integrated with my Econ Lab. For example, if you're working on a homework assignment and you can't quite figure out how to do it, many of them have a link that's available that will take you directly to the section of the textbook that it relates to. So if you're having an issue with a problem, you can click on a link and the textbook will open up to an area which will allow you to read the contents of the textbook that directly relate to that specific problem. So make sure you avail yourself of that. You can, if you want, buy a used paper textbook and just buy access to my Econ Lab. I can't stop you from doing that. I would recommend that you not do that and purchase the e-text with access to my Econ Lab. There's enrollment instructions for my Econ Lab on Sakai. There's the same section that this video is in. There's my Econ Lab enrollment instructions. You can follow that. You can enroll or register for my Econ Lab, and then it'll prompt you to purchase full access and the e-text. That's probably the most convenient way to go about it. The course itself is set up to give you an idea about the concepts in Principles of Microeconomics. We're going to be looking at scarcity, choice, and the trade-offs that are implied by that. We're going to be looking at supply and demand in a marketplace, what constitutes an equilibrium, what happens when supply and demand conditions change, how does that impact equilibrium. So understanding the basic functioning of markets. And also the book goes over some concepts related to real-world applications like rent control or some of these other policies that are out there, how you can use supply and demand analysis to look at these different policies that are instituted. We'll also take a look at elasticity, which measures how responsive quantity demand it is to a change in price, to a change in income, and the change in the price of a related product. So that's useful information if you're going on a business. Understanding what these different elasticities are, what they measure, and how to interpret them is very important. We're going to take a look at household behavior and consumer choice. In particular, we're going to be looking at utility maximization, what is meant by utility maximization, how economists derive this notion of utility maximizations for consumers. We're also going to be looking at profit maximization for firms. Also, we're going to take a look at how economists distinguish between the long run and the short run, and we're going to take a look at costs and output decisions firms face in the short run and in the long run. We're also going to take a look at the demand for land, labor, and capital, And most importantly, we're going to be looking at the spectrum of competition: perfect competition, monopoly, oligopoly, and monopolistic competition. We're going to start looking at perfect competition, which is the most competitive market structure that's out there, followed by monopoly, which is the least competitive. And then using these two concepts, we will take a look at oligopoly and monopolistic competition, which fall between the two extremes of the spectrum of competition. So I'll tell you right now, it's very important for you to understand perfect competition and monopoly, because if you have a good understanding of those two extremes, the two forms of competition that fall between them become a lot easier to understand if you understand perfect competition and monopoly. We'll also take a look at externalities, public choice, public goods and social choice, uncertainty and information, and perfect information, and the economics of taxation. What else I want to tell you is make sure you read through the syllabus. Okay? The syllabus itself has the structure of the course. It has detailed information about what's due each week, what is week one, what are the opening dates and closing dates, what's due those dates. The information in the appendix is mirrored in Sakai. So make sure you realize that you can look at the syllabus, or you can go onto Sakai to see what's due. In Sakai, there are tabs on the left-hand side. So it'll say week one. If you click on that, it'll tell you a little bit about what we're going to cover in that week. It'll tell you what's due, where it's located, etc. There's also videos loaded there, because there's a lot of graphical material that some students have difficulty understanding. And I found even with on-site courses that having these videos available for some of this graphical analysis is very, very important. So make sure you avail yourselves of those videos. If there's graphical concepts that you're having trouble with, the videos break down. If there's multiple steps in an analysis, it breaks down all the component parts of that. Also, realize that one of the things that I take quite seriously is deadlines, and I like to explain to students why. I run my own business. All right, I have a consulting company, and if I don't make my deadlines, I don't get paid. Contracts get canceled. People who rely on me to make a living lose their jobs. So it's something I take very seriously, is the ability to meet your deadlines. You can make a request for an extension. All right, make sure you do this before the due date. I make a distinction between a request that occurs prior to a deadline expiring and after a deadline expiring. If you go to the syllabus will outline this in detail, the difference between the two. If you request an extension before the deadline, I will automatically give any student a one-day extension with no penalty whatsoever. If you request the extension after the deadline, your penalties start accruing, and the longer it takes you, the heavier the penalties are. So make sure when you read the syllabus, make sure you read the deadlines portion in detail. Also note that I can make a special accommodation if you have a medical issue, but that has to be supported by documentation. You have to have a note from a doctor, etc., that says that you were unable to do work on an online class because you were sick. Also, realize that we have forums on Sakai. They do not occur every week. If you check the schedule, it will be posted on Sakai and also on the syllabus. So make sure that you do that. It's worth 10%, so don't forget to do them. If you don't do the syllabus, it's going to be very difficult to get an A. I mean, if you don't do the forms, it's almost impossible to get an A for the course. And realize, too, that another important thing, that the final exam is optional for the course. If you're happy with your provisional grade, and what I mean by a provisional grade is I'll calculate your grade prior to the final exam. So you've completed all the work through week 14. I will calculate a provisional grade for you. If you're happy with that provisional grade, you don't have to take the final, and that provisional grade becomes your grade for the course. So naturally, if you have an A for a provisional grade, there's no reason to take the final exam. All right, if you do decide that, you know what, I think I can do better, or gee, I didn't do so well in this course and I'd like to improve the grade that I have, you can do this, but there's some risk involved, because what happens is that the final exam, your highest final exam grade, replaces your lowest test grade. So if you actually do worse on the final than you do on your lowest exam grade, it is possible to lower your grade for the course by completely botching the final. The final you can take 3 times. All the tests can be taken 3 times. All right? So make sure you realize that during the semester there's 17 homeworks and quizzes, 5 forums, 3 tests, and 1 optional final. You get feedback pretty much instantaneously. Anything that's done in my econ lab, you get immediate feedback on what you did wrong. Homeworks you can do is the homework problems you can do as many times as you want. You can spend as much time on them as you want. The quizzes you can only do 3 times, and they have a time limit of 45 minutes. And your highest quiz score counts towards your grade for the course. Again, the test you can do 3 times with the highest grade counting towards your grade for the course. The tests themselves have a time limit of 150 minutes. The forums, make sure you're aware, it's my attempt to bring some real-world examples into the classroom. It'll be things that occur in the news or have occurred in the news and relate to what we've talked about in class. So it's an attempt to bring real-world applications, but also to give a level of interaction between the students and the professor. With online classes, it's difficult to have a meaningful level of interaction on an online format. So this is the main vehicle for that interaction between the student and the professor. The final exam is 200 minutes long, and the way grades are given is 20% towards homework assignments, 20% towards quizzes, 50% for tests, and 10% for the forums. If you go to the syllabus, the grading criteria, the breakdown of grades is listed there. So I hope that's of help to you. Make sure you read the syllabus. Make sure you're aware. I do send out notices twice a week to students. All the students saying, remember, this is your to-do list for the week. This is what you have to do. This is when it's due, etc. So there's not really much of an excuse for students saying, I didn't know something was due, because it appears in the syllabus, it appears on Sakai, and during the week you get 2 notifications reminding you of what is done. So make sure you read the syllabus, you keep up with your work. If you fall behind and you need an extension, make sure you ask for that extension ahead of time. And also, if you need special office hours, I can be amenable to making a special appointment. And also realize that in Sakai, we have a video conferencing system that's in place that's free for you to use, so that's also a possibility. So you could also ask me to have a special online meeting with you if at all possible. All right, thanks for listening, and good luck during the semester.